Good afternoon. Here we are at the WTG HR Summit. I'm with David Fairhurst, the HR Director for McDonald's. Nice to see you, David. How are you finding the event so far?
It's fascinating, actually, because the interesting thing about it is that we're almost breaking the silos of people with different disciplines presenting in different ways, talking about different things. And I think it shows the complexity of what's going on out there and the complexity of which leaders in business are having to deal with. So I think I think the conference reflects the needs of HR directors and the sort of things that they should be thinking about. And one of the things that I said in my introduction this morning is that, hindsight is the probably optimum skill in business. And I said that, in 10 years' time, when we look back at the actions that we choose in 2009, hopefully inspired in part by this conference, that, I wonder what the case studies of best practice will be. And that's what this is about, really, inspiring and people to think about what is it that we should be doing, particularly in this economic climate, and what will be best practice.
Do you think people are over-obsessed with the recession? Do you think that it's become too much of an agenda for business?
There's no doubt, as I go around my business talking to staff, is that people are fed up listening about the recession word, but of course it's a reality. But I think this is a great time for HR to show what it's made of, because a lot of the issues are people-based, a lot of the issues are about taking the organisation forward, and this is HR's greatest hour, that we can influence the organisations to do the right thing. But as HR directors, we mustn't get distracted, overly distracted from our strategy. I mean, there's no doubt that some businesses out there are finding it more difficult than others, but I think continuing to do the right thing, keeping a focus on the long term whilst managing the short-termism effectively, I think is really important. So, HR directors that don't get overly distracted and help people not to become overly distracted, I think will serve as well.
Do you think in general, from an HR perspective, people are getting it right, or do you think that there's still, a lot of trying to solve an issue by getting rid of swathes of the workforce?
I think that there's a great variability out there in the market of how HR approach the challenges, and I see some examples of great practice out there where HR directors are thinking innovatively about solutions and methods and different ways of dealing with things that will get them through. But HR have got a fantastic role to play in making sure the business, although some decisions may be tough, there might be redundancies, there might be scenarios like that, but that things are done in the right way, and to make sure that you influence the leaders in organisations that things are done properly. And I think there's a key piece here about values and behaviours and being the custodian of that. And integrity is very important to employees, and I think there's a role there for HR directors, but they must stand tall and be heard with the CEOs in this particular climate.
So do you think in a bizarre way a downturn is actually putting the HR agenda on a pedestal, making it more important?
I think, there's no doubt that if you look back through history, that, mechanisation has been largely optimised, IT has been largely optimised. The one that has not been optimised is people, people power. Time after time we see surveys out there, whether it be Towers and Perrin, whether it be CIPD, all these surveys show that at best employees are 30% engaged in organisations. And given that most people join organisations 110% excited and want to give their best, what is it that organisations are doing to take that out of them? So I think focusing on employee engagement makes real commercial sense. And because of that, HR have got a key role that's right up there and commercially right up there to help organisations succeed. So pulling the lever of people needs to be pulled, and this is the time we could do it.
The current mantra is very much about training, about apprenticeship, etc., and ongoing training. I recently went to a CMI launch about a training initiative. McDonald's has just announced its apprenticeship programme. I was wondering if you could give us a sort of an overview of how that's developing.
Yeah, sure. I mean, education is not something that's new to McDonald's, but one of the things that we do recognise is that qualifications and confidence that people get from qualifications and the opportunity it gives people is really important. And so whilst we've been investing millions of pounds over the years in training, people think of McDonald's with stars on badges and so on, is that this next important step is to deliver apprenticeships to actually 10,000 people a year as of next year, 6,000 this year. And it's a big investment for us, it's a big commitment, but we know it makes success. I know that many businesses out there are struggling out there and would struggle to invest, but in my view now is the best time to invest in skills, because it will help us come out of this economic situation faster and in a better position. And for organisations that can invest in skills, I have to say, are more likely to be winners than losers. I mean, the market will polarise businesses that are stronger and businesses that are clearly less strong. And I think, you know, we have an opportunity to invest here with the government support. And so we're very excited with the apprenticeship, because it will be giving massive opportunity to lots of people.
Why do you think it was that apprenticeship went out of vogue in the last, say, 20 years?
Yeah, well, when we think of apprenticeships, people think of craft apprenticeships. They think of engineers. I mean, I started my career in engineering and aerospace, and people think of lathes and turning and drilling and all that sort of stuff. And that's traditional apprenticeships, and that's still part of the economy. But what we need to recognise is that 1 in 5 people in Britain now actually work in the service industry, but the qualifications haven't kept up. So when I talk to people about apprenticeships, my start point is often to explain what a modern apprenticeship is, because they don't understand it. And of course, a modern apprenticeship is a bungle of skills that are in the workplace, that are transferable, that are nationally recognised, that you can take with you to create greater opportunity. But you know, the service part of our economy is critical. Tourism, leisure, travel, hotels, restaurant businesses, and we know that we don't do it particularly well. And as we approach 2012 and the Olympics, if ever there was a time for us to get Hospitality Britain in the right place, it's now. So I'm trying to encourage not just us as McDonald's, but the whole sector to really start thinking about apprenticeships in a modern and different way, because that needs to reflect the economy and the skills and the qualifications, and it's lagged behind.
McDonald, many people may not know, but McDonald's has gained a great deal of plaudits and some very high-profile brands for its vocational training. What do you think are the key ingredients for that success?
I think you've got to invest to get this right. And I would encourage SMEs within certain sectors to use their sector skills councils. Like I'm in hospitality, leisure and tourism, which is people first. And what they can do is facilitate the smaller organisations learning from the larger organisations that are able to invest to get this right. But one of the things I would say is patience. It's taken us about a year to get apprenticeships ready for launching. It's complicated. You're dealing with governments, you're dealing with agencies, you're dealing nationally. So the National Employers Service, that as part of the LSC, has been very helpful in helping broker some of those things. What I think a responsible and progressive business should do is now to share some of that learning with people throughout the sector, because if the whole sector becomes more skilled, the whole sector will raise and the British economy will raise. So, you know, I'm very keen through sector skills, which is why I joined as Vice Chair a few years ago, is to try and share some of these learnings. And what I really want to say is that for some of the smaller organisations or medium organisations that may be a little bit overwhelmed or a bit sceptical about whether it can be get through the bureaucracy and understand how to deliver some of this qualification framework, there are large businesses out there, and we're one of them, that are prepared to share and support, because it would be good for all of us.
Thank you very much, David.
Pleasure. Thank you.